Hello, thank you for coming. I am Rodrigo Valenzuela, associate professor at the School of Art and Architecture at UCLA. I want to say thank you to the Hammer Museum for hosting and to the AMA Foundation and the Art Department for sponsoring this lecture. I'm very excited to introduce you Pilar Quinteros, but first I have to ask you to silence your phone and you know. Yeah, so Pilar Quinteros is one of our first visiting artists coming from AMA Foundation and specifically Chilean artists that are very excited to introduce you. She was born in Santiago, Chile. Artist Pilar Quinteros live and work between many places, most recently Barcelona and also this small, very cute town called Coyhaique in the south of Chile. Quintero uses inexpensive materials to construct ephemeral, site-specific interventions, aesthetic and visual analysis of transformations of the world we know or we believe we know. Has led Quintero to understand that everything is a construction in the broadest sense of the word, and humans are capable not only of creating fiction, but believe it too. Quintero was the co-founder of the MICH Collective, International Museum of Chile, from 2010 to 2019, and is part of the art collective La CUMBIA MAPACHE. She earned a bachelor from the Catholic University in Santiago, Chile. Quinteros exhibit her work in places such as like the 34th Film Festival in Mar del Plata, Argentina, 2017 California Pacific Triennial, Newport Beach, California, 32 Sao Paulo Biennial, Sao Paulo, Brazil, 2016, 31st Biennial of Graphic Arts, Lithuania in Slovenia, 2015, Pinchuk Art Center in Kiev, Ukraine in 2014, National Museum of Fine Arts in Santiago, Chile, 2013, Museum of Contemporary Art, Santiago, Chile, 2010, among others. Please help me to welcome Pilar to the Hammer and LA. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Pilar Quinteros, visual artist from Chile. Thank you for everything and for coming today and for the interest. Today I want to share with you some of my practice, what I have been doing so far, like in this past, 12 years, something like that. Yes, first I wanted to show you my beginnings a little bit. This is for me a good portrait of myself, like working without permission. This was in college in 2010. And those are some guards that are trying to make me, stop working somehow. But to know how I ended up in that situation, I would like to show you some previous works. I feel like I'm a drawer somehow. I think that's a good way of explaining what I do mostly. I started like making drawings or so. And then I got the idea of having some classes with a professor that I'm very interested in, Pablo Rivera, in this university, the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. And he works in public spaces, and I always work with drawings in my studio or so. So I never had the experience of doing things outside. I mean, after graffitis or things like that. And I thought that was a good opportunity to make some experiments and so. And then I had this idea of covering a bench and then make a drawing on top of it. And then I got interested on constructing all the details of that bench. And that's made out of cardboard. And these are like small experiments like during my days of college when I was like, I don't know, 21 or something like that. And then I keep going with these experiments and with these small tasks in which I was looking at empty spaces in public spaces also, trying to cover something that should be there, but it wasn't. Like in this case also, those are like the details. I wasn't very good at making all the details, but I really enjoyed the process even so. Yeah, in this case I was making a line in the path. Yeah, molesting others. Yeah, I was trying to understand how this material works, and I choose this material in that case because it's cheap and easy to use. Like at least in my case, it became easy, and yeah, I ended up working with this like for 1 year or two, something like that. But everything was different when I decided to work on a specific interest that I had with a group of people that were like buying or selling, selling these kind of breads. The name is sopaipillas in Spanish. In Chile, they call sopaipillas, like fried breads that are sold like everywhere on the street. I discovered this place in Santiago in Chile where you could find like, I don't know, 5 of these carts. And I got interested because they were like fighting for the territory. So I decided to take the measures of one of the carts. That was a weird situation in which I had like a ruler and all, and people couldn't understand like what I was doing. But yeah, I took the measures and decided to go there. Those are the details, and also the breads made out of cardboard. And I decided to go there and take this as an excuse, like to stay there and watch what was happening. This was only because, I don't know, I had a hunch that something will happen at some point somehow. I was there like using this camouflage that at the same time it wasn't. But this taught me an important lesson somehow. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. Yeah, I'm going to, I don't know what is happening. Yeah, I want to show you like the end of the video. This was an important moment for me. First, I want to show you the video, and then I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, I think this is the beginning of my interest in my practice. Yeah, that was like a scary situation, but for me, the final image of the video is important for me. Like me watching what is happening, trying to be part of something at the same time. Of course, I wasn't. That explains or describe my feeling in general, like the things that I started to do in public spaces have to do with that, like the fact that I have been feeling the whole time like kind of out of place. I don't know, like I don't know when I was a kid, like in parties or something like that. I always was thinking that it would be nice to do, I don't know, like something else, despite of of, I don't know, instead of having drinks or so, which is good, it's fine, I like it, but we could also do other things. For me, it was the same with protests. Of course, I understand they are important and I participate on them, but maybe we could think of other ways of do that, you know, like, and my work has to do with that in most of the cases, or maybe in all of them. Like, I'm trying to find solutions to things that don't need a solution or are in a specific way, and I'm trying to find a new one. I was thinking on this when in 2010 this happened. This is the Museum of Contemporary Art in Santiago, Chile. The facade was completely destroyed and stayed this way for, I don't know, 3 months or something. And I was thinking that the material that I was using had to do a lot with the models of architecture. So I thought that it would be nice to maybe think a project that relates with architecture or the landscape that we are used to watch every day. I wasn't very interested in architecture itself, rather than the context in which we move and do things. And yeah, I was thinking on that, and this happened, and this stayed for 3 months or something like that. So I decided to construct the pieces after the measures of the remains of this of the facade, and decided to construct this. I made a video in which I present all the process. This was also in college. I had like 2 weeks to present something like really fast, and what I did was to make these pieces, go there and put them, making some kind of restoration. Like the name of this project is also Restoration 1. It's a series. This is the first one. And this is an important project for me too, because it had to do with my first interests in general, like to represent the frustration in general of things that are happening, and we can do much about it. Like, I took these pieces of cardboard and made this, and that was it. But it was good afterwards, because I didn't know, but the director of the museum was looking this through the window of his office and came down and asked me what I was doing. And I told him, like, no, I'm restoring the museum. Normal. Like, and he said, like, wow, like, next week is the day of monuments and patrimony in Santiago, and I would like to present this. So maybe you can keep this in storage in the museum, like inside the museum, for a week. And we are going to make some how can I say, like, put this on the news or so, to make the people interested on this situation in which we are. Like, we don't have money even to move the debris, nothing. So it would be nice to present this, like, next week. And it was great because it appeared in the news, and actually it was very helpful because they could get the attention of the Chinese community in Santiago, and they gave money to move the debris and start their restoration, like the real one. And it was very exciting because this was like at the end of college. So after that, a lot of things, very good things, happened and led me the opportunity to work in different places, travel. For instance, for this project, this was in 2014, in which I went to Ukraine after or during, actually, the protests against Russia at that time, and against the elections, because they thought they were fake. And I wanted to do something in that place, in the main square in Maidan, because people took the square and were camping there, and a lot of things happened, like very bad things with the police. And I wanted to get to know these people. Also wanted to take a look of the fountain that I represented there, the fountain of the Friendship of People's fountain. I wanted to, I was very impressed that I got invitation to participate on this prize, the Pinchuk Art Center Prize, Future Generation Art Prize is the name. And I wanted to visit that fountain and take a look of it, and I discovered that it no longer existed. So I decided to construct it. Most of my works also have to do with that, with the fact that I have, or I feel that I have the possibility to construct things that are going to relate with context, and then I will have the opportunity to see things that otherwise I couldn't. I couldn't present. And yeah, this was very, very crazy and emotive for me, because we made an open call for people. I also worked at the gallery, and that was kind of awkward because I was constructing the pieces all by myself. I always work like that. Sometimes I ask for people to help me, like at the end of the works, but for me it's important to construct the pieces by myself, even if that's more, I don't know, it takes more time, or maybe it's a bit more expensive because I have to stay longer in the places, but I'm a fast worker. So yeah, all these pieces took me like 1 month and a half. They are also made out of cardboard. And we made this open call in which people came and helped me to move these pieces to the original place in which the fountain was. Actually, they wanted to destroy the fountain, but they moved it to a different city, a small town, actually. And I went there and took the measurements, and I made it like same scale, the pieces, like the center of the fountain. So yeah, they were like 50 pieces, and we moved them with this group of people, and it was very exciting because I thought that they were going to help me only to move the pieces, and I was going to construct everything by myself. Thank God it wasn't like that. And people wanted to see this like finally in shape, like in pieces, completely done. And they stayed at some point. Even the architect of the fountain, the original one, appeared because a nephew or something told him they were going to construct this once again in the same place, right next to this cupola. This is part of a underground shopping mall. I thought that was very powerful also because that gave me the idea that, of course, politics or the power wants to change the use of that square. It's interesting how, like an object, and I'm always thinking on that points something, like points ourselves or points like a situation, is always a reference. In this case, they decided to remove the Friendship of People's Fountain, that was an important symbol of independence of Ukraine, like in the 80s, and decided to remove this and put a shopping mall. Like this, for me, was a very powerful, like, I don't know, decision. It was really clear, like why they were doing that, you know. So yeah, it was very nice that after everything, the work ended up well, like in shape. After a lot of work, like it took us the entire day. I wanted to go home at some point because the structure was terrible. I didn't had like any help, and I didn't ask for help for the structure. And actually the architect said like they had the same problems with the structure because the shape is super wide, and so it was kind of difficult to put everything in shape without this collapsing. And at some point, yeah, I wanted to leave, and I don't know, someone appeared with a bag full of tapes, and we covered everything with tape. And I don't know how that happened, but thank God, because yeah, I was like super ashamed of what it was happening. But that was important because if everything would have happened as I wanted, yeah, anything like this would have happened, you know, like we couldn't have the opportunity to work together, to meet, actually, yeah, after this, I still know from most of these people or a few of them. And for me, this was also kind of a protest, also a different way of share with others. So this is like a good example of what I would like to achieve with my works somehow, like a different way of interacting also. And at the same time, yeah, for me it's kind of difficult to talk about performance. Like for me, these kind of works are not. For me, they are a way of living or experiencing this dimension in which we are, which is really plastic. We can change things as we want. And yeah, this was like an important moment for me. At the same time, it helped me to understand that things are happening, the things that we are interested in, that help us to understand our uh, questions or our problems are in other places too, or sometimes are in the same as we are. Like the next project was in Santiago, in Chile, and this was like how can I say, like a discovery of myself. At the same time, it was for others. I have the, I don't know, the luck that sometimes I'm in the right place. I don't know, because I'm paying attention, maybe, I'm not sure. But I want to show you the beginning of the next video that is called Indian Cemetery. That is about.
En 2012
Yeah,
vi
I'm
cómo
going to.
empezaban a demoler una casa cerca de mi edificio. Esto fue en Pedro de Valdivia con calle Europa. Entonces se me ocurrió tomar fotografías del proceso de desintegración de la casa.
Estas son las fotos que tomé. Esta primera es de la casa como la vi la primera vez y ya no tiene techo, pero igual, así como la vi. Después está esta en que la retroexcavadora es lo más importante y el señor que está ahí arriba, ya no se ve nada de la casa, muy poco. Y al final está esta, la tercera foto que tomé, que es del terreno vacío, solamente se puede ver el muro verde.
2 semanas después salió en las noticias el descubrimiento de un cementerio de la cultura de Yoyeo en ese mismo terreno.
Ahí, descubren cementerio indígena en Pedro de Valdivia. En un pique de la futura línea 6 del metro, se hallaron esqueletos y ofrendas de hace más de 1000 años.
Después de eso cubrieron hasta los árboles de las veredas. Cada vez que pasaba por ahí, como esa señora de ahí en el video, me preguntaba qué estaba pasando ahí dentro. ¿Sabría el resto de la gente que pasaba por ahí de este súper descubrimiento? Tiempo después me tocó viajar a Nueva York y aproveché de visitar el Met. Pero más que tratarse de una experiencia agradable, me llené de una sensación un poco mala. Me dio mala impresión.
Esta era la tumba de alguien. Hay un tipo dentro de esta cosa.
A partir de ahí decidí saber un popoco más sobre el descubrimiento de Pedro de Valdivia con Europa y qué había sido de los restos que habían encontrado ahí.
Yeah, after that I made some interviews just to know what happened after this discovery, and I made interviews for the people of Metro, and after that for the people that took the bodies out. And yeah, for me it was very shocking and incredible to know that they found like 60 bodies and they moved them and put them in boxes, and now they are in an office for experiments and for research. And yeah, after the experience that I had in Kiev, for instance, when they removed this fountain, despite of the opinion of the people, and in this case, this with Indian cemetery, in which they decided to move all these bodies, even if these people, these neighbors, and these people that lived in my very neighborhood decided to be buried here, were removed like they were, I don't know, objects or things like that. And these all situations made me, I don't know, feel like we are kind of disrespectful. At the same time, yeah, that power that we have of changing everything can be backfired somehow. We can construct and create and change the world in which we are, and that's very exciting. But at the same time, yeah, I wonder about, yeah, what should be there or shouldn't be there. It's difficult. Like, yeah, we have like a huge power, I think, I believe. And yeah, these walks or these trips in which I'm making all these videos, I think about that, about the power that we have to construct and change the world. At the same time, yeah, we pass through a lot of things like from the past or something. If the past exists as the past, I'm not sure about that. Like, things in the past are very similar as what is happening right now. So I don't believe very much in, yeah, past and present and the future. Yeah, this project is something that I did after this one. I got the visit of a curator of the Sao Paulo Biennial in 2016. And yeah, he thought that this was kind of interesting and also funny. Like, all of my works have something, I don't know, like amusing or fun. At the same time, I'm talking about death or other matters that are sensitive and difficult for me. It was always difficult to talk about death because people doesn't want to talk about that in general. Because yeah, they thought that maybe I was like depressed or something like that. Actually, it's interesting to be talking about this like in a scenario right now, because I was very ashamed of thinking like why people or how people is doing their things, like their regular day things during the day, without thinking like they are going to die. Like, yeah, I don't know. For me, that was very curious, but it's kind of taboo. And yeah, this was an opportunity to talk about that. Like, at the end of the video, I asked the question, like, how much time should happen or should pass after we are buried to construct something new on top of everything. Like, yeah. And I was thinking on that when I got this invitation to participate on the Sao Paulo Biennial, in which the curator was reading about this theory in which scientists think that the Amazon is an abandoned plantation. And yeah, I got really interested on that, and also start my own research about an explorer called Percy Harrison Fawcett that was looking for a lost city in Mato Grosso, like in the south of Amazonas. It wasn't like El Dorado, it was more like Atlantis, something like that, like very intelligent civilization that was there. And his son, the son of Percy Harrison Fawcett, made this drawing thinking or imagining the place that his dad was talking about on the letters that he was receiving from him from the rainforest. And yeah, he imagined the portal or the entrance of this city was kind of like this. And after that, I discovered other books in which, I don't know, like an interviewer or a reporter made the visit to that area and discovered also that in Brazil was a very huge problem that in 1926 or around that date, people was getting into the woods trying to find something, trying to find the city, and they got lost. Like, a lot of people disappeared. And it was a really, really real problem for the government. So they decided to put or establish a law in which people couldn't get into the woods without permission. So yeah, I also got interest on this story and wanted to go there and take a look of this city. The city of Set is the name. actually like a year later of this visit or this work, a Hollywood movie appeared about the same. But yeah, the focus was different. Like I wanted to experience what this explorer is, I don't know, wanted to experience himself, actually. Like I didn't want to represent him or something. I wanted to be like him somehow. But I understood that the way of doing this was to go in there and construct this portal. And I made this small teaser and then a film like that I presented at the Sao Paulo Biennial. This one. Yeah, there is something about wanting to get into the rainforest or the woods. Like there is something there that we don't know what is, and we are looking for something. We are always trying to find something, finding responses, finding solutions, or to explain things. I don't know. Like there is something with that, like to getting into the unknown, and in this case, yeah, we constructed this portal during a month in the rainforest in Mato Grosso, made out of grass and plaster. Yeah, the structure is made out of wood also. And yeah, some weird things happened during that time, maybe because of the inscription that is on top of it. Like we are not sure what we did. Actually, there is a lot of cults and people around that area. This is the area in which this explorer disappeared, trying to find this city. People don't know if he disappeared because he found the city, or maybe some indigenous killed him or something, because there was like some cannibals. Another indigenous tell this story, like maybe he disappeared because of that. And yeah, in the story of this researcher, this reporter, they say that they saw how the smoke of the camping was like disappearing in the forest, or getting further and further, and until the smoke disappeared. So that's why the name of the project, Smoke Signals. Yeah, so after this, one project leads to the other, of course, it is always like that. And for this project, the one that I wanted to share with you the most is a project that I made in Santiago de Chile after the project for the Sao Paulo Biennial. After that invitation, the gallery invited the artists that also appeared at the biennial. And yeah, the composition and the structure of the gallery for me was interesting, because it led me, or it gave me the opportunity to work on the getting ins, different places, different spaces somehow. Like first you could see the exhibition from outside, from the street, and what happened? And you could see like this structure and this construction. This was after a model or a project of an architect, a French called I don't remember the name. Yeah, but no, this was a project to be constructed in Chicago at the beginning of the 20th century. The Pradel, that's the last name of the architect, and he wanted to construct the beacon of progress. Like I thought the name was like crazy big and amazing, and this was a huge project. Yeah, these are the original designs. this was going to be like way bigger than the Eiffel Tower. So, and this was going to be like at the same time or after a few years of the Eiffel Tower. So yeah, he presented this project, and of course no one wanted to do it because it was crazy big and impossible to do. And I got interested on that. Actually, I'm also, if I'm looking for something, looking for images in different places, in different countries, I'm also interested on things that almost happened, or and in that case, like the year, or in some place, like in this place in between, that I like to say it's, I don't know, the place of art in which everything is kind of possible. These places or these objects, somehow they exist, as this one, you know, like they almost exist. I'm very happy to find these images and go for them somehow, and gave them like a second chance, trying to find like a second chance of different historical events also, like in Chile, for instance. Critical events or critical moments in Chilean history or the history of the world in general could have like a second chance. And for me, this is somehow like a way of representing that. I don't know, like imagine that. It's very exciting to think that there is like a possibility. At the same time, it makes me feel like we have like an urge of represent ourselves, or to sign or point at us, like we are here, this is it, like we are here, I'm this big, I'm this important, this is me. But I think it has to do with the same, no? Like we feel kind of small and tiny and lost and confused. I don't know. I have that feeling. Well, so I took these designs and gave them like a second chance. And this drawing is from myself, and I constructed this inside the gallery. And yeah, it doesn't fit in the gallery either. And for me, it was important to present this from different distances. I started this exhibition thinking that progress, also as landscapes, are seen from afar. It's something that you need to take a look from a distance. Like you are never in the progress, you know, like you are never in the landscape either. Like this is always something that is near you or far from you, and it will happen. Landscape, it's like a promise or something that could happen somehow. Progress is the same. So I make like a match with the two concepts. So in this case, for me, it was important to have the look of this object from outside, because you could like imagine like this was made out of gold or it was heavy or something, but then you get into the gallery and could see that this was constructed on cardboard, and you can see the handmade pieces. For me, that was important. I got a critique in Chile saying that this was very bad done, like it wasn't like very detailed and careful. But for me, it was important to have this look, and so people could understand that this is something that we are constructing or I was constructing. It had like a purpose, you know? And I can't do things better otherwise, but yeah. So this is an exhibition that works and thinks about distances. And at the same time, yeah, I presented this building that wasn't never constructed in our dimension, in a way. I also had like different paths to get into different situations. And in this case, I designed this wall that you could cross. Like, I don't know if you can take a look and watch on the left, there is like a small entrance. There was like a fabric you could cross. And this design is inspired in this Magic Eye books that I really love, because this is also somehow a way of getting in other place. Like you have the impression that you are in another way, in another place somehow. So I'm taking these drawings and these designs in reference, like a lot of times. It's a way of getting in another place, another possibility of places. So yeah, people could get in this place to watch a video in which I'm walking and walking a lot through the south of Chile, trying to get into the wood. Again, trying to get into something that we don't know, trying to understand something. This is the map of, I walked like 4 days or 5 with a friend that was recording. He took like the worst part because he was carrying all the equipment to film. It was very intense and difficult. Yeah, but we are still friends, I hope. But this was important because we decided to get out of the city walking, trying to get into a rainforest. And as you can see, there is a lot in the area, but we couldn't because everything was like blocked and it had fences or dogs or, I don't know, doors. It was impossible to get in. And so I had the feeling that I was like walking through a corridor or inside a building or something. It was very frustrating. It's somehow like the feeling of feeling like, I don't know, like a truth, like a real truth is there and you can cross or you can take like, I don't know, participation in it. Or you don't have like the entrance. Like I want to get into something that is real about, I don't know, life or something, but you can't. So this was, super frustrating. But as everything, really, it was like a representation of that. Like I really want, but it's impossible. So at the end, I finally get into the woods, but only because you can get in because this is a public park, like a reservation, and I wrote this during these walks. It says something like that. The story told by Darwin and other people, from German settlers to local wiiches, describe a place filled with endless forests that are virtually impossible to ever known in their entirety. They tell of a world that no longer exists or that is almost not existent. The video I'm presenting is about just that, about going out in search of the impossible, about imagining, attempting, searching. I suppose that it's also about frustration, and I say that not because I had thought the area I traveled through was different. I lived in Puerto Montt until I was 14, but because this work, like all my work, began from a very profound interest in seeing and experiencing things firsthand. In the video, I documented my process in walking and walking, looking at the fences on the land, gate after gate, in search in each side of the road, as if the path I was walking down were, in reality, long corridors. Then I get into the Vicente Pérez Rosales Park, where I'm finally able to enter a forest that I just like the ones that only days earlier I could only see from afar. It is sad because I'm finally able to enter the landscape, but only because the park is equipped to receive visitors. In the end, the video is the result of my personal observations and beliefs about limitations and of all sorts, and this was a negative feeling that grew larger and larger in me over the course of the trip. yeah, so these beacons of progress were all over the walk somehow. Like these fences were for me also beacons of progress. Like people that are the owners of these lands wanted to be shown, like this is me, this is mine. And yeah, I understand there is some places in the world, like in Sweden, that led you to camp at least one day in somebody else's land. And I think that's pretty nice. But in Chile, yeah, everything is super private. Even things that actually are not, like beaches or lakes, like people, like rich people want to keep everything for themselves. And I think that's crazy. Like land isn't ours in any case. Like we pass through it, we use it, but yeah, I couldn't say like I'm the owner of. Yeah, I'm not the owner of any land, of course, but yeah, it's a weird thing to say. And yeah, I also represented like the first beacons of progress. I was using as a reference and reading this book of Francisco Carreri, Walkscapes, in which, yeah, he has the theory that these totems or long stones were to establish or to point the places to hunt and the places to get through. But yeah, that's also a theory. We are not sure like why people were constructing these kind of things, which is interesting at the same time. Yeah, also frustrating. Like, yeah, no, but at the same time, I understand that this gave us like more opportunities rather than, I don't know, like a bad feeling or anything. Like we can invent what were they for, you know. Yeah, I made these drawings having this impression that maybe if you organize these rocks and you could get into a different place. Thinking of also these books of 3D books, um, like in this drawing, like maybe you can put all the pieces of rocks together. I made this storyboard also, like thinking on this, like you can be moving these rocks and then you put everything like in a line, like in a tunnel, and then you could get into a different place. This project is diving into the great beyond, thinking of, yeah, the idea of dying but coming back of that, because I'm curious of how they could look. At the same time, I don't want to stay there, of course. Yeah, these are also references for the project. As I didn't do this in video yet, because I would like to do something like this in the future, like with animation or so. I'm getting there like really slow. Yeah, I thought that maybe it was better to make this experience for others, like at the gallery. And this was after that. Thinking on the Indian cemetery, I discovered, like, yeah, somehow near my house. After, I don't know, I like 3 years after that, I kept thinking of what terrible was to remove all these bodies to construct the metro underground, because you have this place, it's an empty lot without anything on top of it, on top of that. And I feel like we should have done that, or maybe something is happening there. So yeah, I also made a video. I always represent or make a register of the things that I'm experiencing or doing. In this case, yeah, I also did this. I asked for some people to help me understand like what is happening with that place, because I had the feeling that something was happening. And this is the beginning of that video.
Aló, Fernanda. Bien, ¿y tú? Qué bueno. Te estoy llamando ahora por una cosa así, nada que ver. En verdad va a ser una llamada bien extraña tal vez.
Estoy trabajando en un proyecto que es como una continuación de, no sé si cachaste ese proyecto que hice que se llama Cementerio Indio, que es que trabajo en torno a un descubrimiento que hicieron acá a 2 cuadras de la casa de un cementerio indígena, yo. Que era como una carpeta como de informaciones. Claro, ese. Quiero trabajar con ese lugar pensando un poco que es efectivamente es un cementerio al mismo tiempo que ya no lo es, como que está así como en ese punto intermedio. Entonces, por partir de la investigación, quería ver si es que tú conoces algún medium. Yeah, so after that research, I decided to construct this ladder, white and black, in different faces, and I decided to get into this place that was this empty lot, but at the same time it was some other place. For me, it wasn't like to get into this empty lot, rather than to get into this previous cemetery. And what I thought to do was to go there and sing something for the spirits that maybe are there, or were they, in a way of giving them some apologies. Like, yeah, I was feeling like very regret of and ashamed of everything that happened, even if it wasn't me like digging or anything, but even so, I felt like I had to do something. And I went there, like, again, no permission at this place. Also, the cops appeared and wanted to kick me out. At the same time, they couldn't understand like what the hell I was doing. So, like, because I wasn't robbing anything. Like, I was just trespassing. So they were like more curious to understand and to watch what the hell I was doing. Yeah, but I gave like to my friends the instruction of not interrupting what I was doing, because this was way more than a performance. For me, it's difficult to call this a performance because this was something like I needed to do. I didn't need, I don't know, like public. I share this after in videos, but I don't like watchers, like live watchers. Yeah, and in this case, yeah, I went there and start singing, and I thought that if I sing something at 3 a.m. in the cold, and I feel right and peaceful, maybe this will be good also for something, or there is there like spirits or something like that. Yeah, I was giving them, I don't know, some apology somehow. And now what I'm presenting in Barcelona, actually, yeah, Rodrigo said I'm living in Barcelona, and that's because I'm working there. I'm very like my granddad that said that your house must be where you work. Yeah, so they moved a lot with my mom and their family, trying to get different jobs in different places, like in the country or things like that. So yeah, I'm just like that right now. I go to a place, I feel like something important is occurring there, and I stay for a while. And now, yeah, we are presenting this with Patricio Blanch, my partner at La Cumbia Mapache. He's a filmmaker, I'm a visual artist, and we are making like a combination of those kind of ways of doing things. And in this case, Dormir en les Braces is a project about Gaudí, which is super cliche. I love cliches, like they are kind of forbidden, kind of a taboo. We told people like we wanted to do something about Gaudí there in Barcelona, and Antoni Gaudí, the architect, and people was like, "What? Really? You want to do that?" Yeah, but this was more about like a critique about Gaudí and the politics behind the construction of Sagrada Familia, the Sagrada Familia Church. This painting is important for this project because it shows people living on the streets. At the same time, the church is being constructed behind it. So yeah, I thought that was like, yeah, very powerful, and this is something that is happening today. The same again, like past and present are kind of the same, like they really don't exist. For me, this image is very new somehow. And yeah, we invented this story of some anarchists that decide to steal a portal made of Gaudí. This is a design of Gaudí, Portal Miralles. And we invented this story in which, yeah, the sculpture of Gaudí asked these anarchists to steal this huge portal in from, how can I say this? Like post-mortem works of Gaudí are trespassing this portal again and again and again, non-stop, and that's why there is like new pieces of Sagrada Familia, even if anarchists at the beginning of the 20th century or so make like a big fire in the studio of Gaudí, and the plans or the designs disappeared, and you don't know how the Sagrada Familia was going to be really. Even so, yeah, they keep doing new parts of the Sagrada Familia, and people is kind of tired. At the same time, that money could be used for other things, like for people in need, for instance. And yeah, so they decide to steal this, and this is at the exhibition. But before this, the destruction of the portal, they decide to take the star that they put on top of the Sagrada Familia at the end of last year. And this is the star, like from the flyer. Yeah, we made like a short film in which we present that. Like they decide to take this star, and it's like rehén, or they keep her like in this very how can I say, the place that they used to meet or to live, like these anarchists, trying to get some fundings, I don't know, after this hostage. Yeah, that was the word. Yeah, we are presenting this, also thinking on trying to organize things, even if we only can do this like from a representation or something like that. While we were doing this, I, by myself, was working on this. This is a project for the UK, in the south of the UK, for the Folkestone Triennial. This is a public space event in which, yeah, we had to present things in public space for several months, and I decided to work with the Janus God, because this was a place for Roman settlements also. At the same time, I was interested on the image of the Janus that is looking to the ocean and to the land, protecting the entrances and the way out. Somehow this is also like a portal, this head. The name of the project is Janus Fortress, and I invited people to destroy this head to find something. I wasn't like very clear about this invitation, but I made the open call on the radio, BBC radio, and different newspapers. And yeah, people from the Folkestone Triennial was kind of upset and worried about this, because because they thought that no one was going to do anything about this. This is made out of plaster, so it was easily destroyable. It was really destroyable. And it is kind of empty. It has like different layers. So yeah, I invited people, and people from Folkestone Triennial said that no one will do something about it because people is super respectful with public sculptures, and no one will want to trespass that border, that boundary. I'm always interested in that, like trying to break something. And this part, in this case, is kind of literal, but yeah, I wanted to provoke people somehow. Like, you could destroy this or you could intervene this, and people from the Folkestone Triennial thought that that was going to be kind of impossible because people was super respectful, and this started to happen like after, I don't know, 1 or 2 days after, I don't know why, when, like super fast, people started to destroy this very quick. Then they could discover that inside the sculpture was another one. This is a skull with a crown. And yeah, so again, the people from the Folkestone Triennial was really worried. I'm always working without permission in public spaces, but of course, in this case, I was working with an institution, like with 5 different institutions, so we had to, yeah, ask for permissions, and people was like super or kind of against this because it was really messy. And yeah, so they kept like destroying this. They even stole the inner sculpture. That wasn't part of the plan at all. Like, that was like terrible. Yeah, so this appeared at the news, and then they discovered the skull in, I don't know, like in a backyard, no, like in I don't know, in some place like near a park or something. They abandoned it because they maybe thought this was made out of a metal or something they could melt, but this was made out of jesmonite. It's a mixture of materials, and they couldn't take anything from it. It's kind of plastic or something. So it appeared just in time to make like a ceremony and a celebration of the dead. It was funny because people from the organization said like maybe we could do something like Mexican to celebrate death, as I'm Chilean, but that's a bit far away. Like, yeah, but still, this ended up like being a very happy event. In which people was celebrating death somehow. For me, that was amazing. After what I was telling you about how difficult it is to talk about these kind of things, I decided to make like a monument that could remind us, like, not the possibility, but the certainty of death, and because it puts things in perspective, I feel. And this was installed in a playground. Can be a bit scary, I know, but this spins, so it was very democratic. Like everyone could, like, I don't know, be in front of the death. Like, not only those houses. Imagine those houses receiving this, like, I don't know, like this face every day would be kind of terrible. I wouldn't like that. So they could spin this. So no, but it was really amazing. It's super sad that I couldn't participate on this because of COVID. I couldn't travel or anything, and this is the first time in which I'm not present in the whole process of the construction of a piece. I mean, I made the models like same size for both pieces, but then I had to be aware of what was happening, like from afar, like by emails. That was like really difficult for me because constructing the pieces is important, really important for me. I learn a lot from that process. I almost don't work with helpers for the same reason, because I'm there working and thinking what I'm doing and why I'm doing that. But yeah, at the end it was a happy event. people from the institution asked me like if I wanted to make like a phone call, I don't know, on Zoom to explain people or something like why I was doing this, but I don't think it was necessary. Like each of them imagine a reason for this. Death is different for every person, so you don't need like an explanation of why is this skull with a crown like in this playground, you know. It explains itself for each person, I think. I don't know. To finish my presentation, I want to present you this project. This is also a collaboration with an Argentinian artist called Alan Martin Segal. And we are working on a project called the Ambrosetti Stone. These are some stones that were found in a valley near Tucumán in the north of Argentina. These were like hundreds of them, and they were in different places like in this valley. And during the dictatorship in Argentina, militaries decided to remove all these rocks and put them in a park. And I thought that was kind of crazy because we don't know. My work has to do a lot with that, with the uncertainty of things. We don't know the reason why these rocks were there. Maybe with this friend, we have this idea that maybe this was an important kind of technology, like a huge computer or acupuncture or something like that. And they decided to remove all this because they want to be the owners of these pieces. Again, like human beings trying to be like in rule of everything. So the project is about this discovery and everything that we don't know. So I want to share with you, as a closure, the teaser that we made, and we hope to finish the film and go to film this at the end of the year in November. Alan, if you're watching this, it's our time. After COVID, it was difficult to keep going with the project. But I'm very happy about what we have been thinking, and this is like a big resume of my interests somehow in my practice. So there it is. Please, Leticia.
El error es un efecto óptico. Tengo tatuados en el cerebro. ¿Acaso la información puede entenderse como error alguna vez? Puede ser, pero no por eso se hace desaparecer. Se transforma, se desarrolla, se cambia, claro. Pero desaparecer, hacer desaparecer información es el mayor acto de violencia. Históricamente se ha ejercido poder así. Mientras escribía esto, recordé ese lugar común. La información es poder. Eso quiere decir que hacer desaparecer también puede entenderse como un efecto óptico, y no más que eso. ¿Quedó algo del incendio de la biblioteca de Alejandría? Solo quemarla. ¿Solo quemarla? No puede ser que no haya una sola persona hoy que no sepa lo que quiero saber. ¿Hasta cuándo voy a tener que inventar? copiar aquí el correo que le escribí a Alan el 3 de mayo. Leí tu entrevista, tomé apuntes. Me quedó dando vueltas lo que dijiste sobre grabar en 16 milímetros. Que costaría saber a la primera de qué época es la película. Qué mal que no pudimos grabar la parte en que tú mides el monolito con la aplicación del celular y yo con el cuerpo. Hay que hacerlo. También pensaba mientras leía, aunque traté de que no, que encontrar estos monolitos es como haber dado con unos computadores que no sabemos encender, como si fuéramos animales. Por eso está bueno lo de representar un tiempo inexacto, porque no sabemos qué cultura es más avanzada, la de los monolitos o la nuestra. Me dio gusto leer la entrevista y me da gusto conocerte. En algún momento quedó como información genética este mantra: me cago en todo. Como sociedad le hacemos el amén a ese lujo de oración. Siempre se anuncia el cenit o nadir, puntos de vista, de nuestra experiencia en la Tierra disfrutando de nuestra falta de norma natural. ¿Norma natural? Nuestros zapatos, nuestros tenedores, nuestros montones de cosas. Me voy a acampar a la selva y me avergüenzo. Ese fue mi 2016. En cambio, mi 2019 es así. Me encuentro con una cultura que nadie sabe ni cómo se llama ni qué fue de ellos, cuyo propósito para con este mundo está tras un vidrio ahumado. Montones de años después llega esta cultura, la nuestra, que ya conocemos, y vaya que nos tiene hartos, recolecta todo lo que quedó de esa cultura misteriosa que menciono, vibra bajo el delicioso mantra, me cago en todo, y manda todo ese material recolectado a la concha de su abuela. Eran monolitos creados por el ser humano porque los necesitaba, intuyo, zapatos, tenedores. Los usó, líneas punteadas, párrafos de líneas punteadas, me atrevo a decir, quién sabe. Llegan otros tipos, encuentran los monolitos, se maravillan, se encandilan con la luz de un lejano paraíso misterioso y se cagan en todo. Plantas, animales, luna, sol, energías vibratorias subterráneas, atmosféricas. Me cago en todo. El ser humano por el ser humano, nada más importa. Humanos con zapatos, con tenedores, mirando por la ventana. No nos importa ni lo que fue antes, que el progreso es un toro salvaje que ni el payaso más audaz puede dominar. Piedritas de agua marina, seguimos buscando entre resultados anteriores algo que nos calme los nervios. ¿Qué va primero? El misterio. ¿Qué va primero? Saber que un lugar es especial y luego de eso la necesidad de señalarlo. O algo ya señalaba algo y eso nos hace pensar que ese lugar es especial. No sabemos nada. Primero y segundo, el símbolo y el significado. Y si el símbolo ya no está, ¿ese lugar puede seguir significando lo mismo? ¿Qué importa en todo caso? Las cosas no significan lo mismo nunca. No significan lo mismo para ti que para mí. Por eso la piedra Ambrosetti es un proyecto de dos. Uno no es suficiente. Bueno, nunca lo es. Uno mueve las manos unidas contra el sol tratando de no quemarse la cara, tratando de ser autovalente. La ficción es al rescate del resguardo personal.
That's the end. Yeah, let's see if something happens if we reconstruct all these rocks and try to put them in the original place. maybe nothing will happen. We will stay there, like trying to take a look and and wait for something, but maybe nothing will happen. Let's see. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming. And what else? Questions? Questions, complaints?
We have microphones here if you'd like to.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. It was really interesting. I was very curious about your early work where you reconstruct architectural pieces or reconstruct monuments. And I wondered what was the life of those monuments? So do you leave them in the place so that they, disintegrate, or do you remove them? So that was my first question, was what happens to those pieces that are made out of cardboard, and how you might conceptualize them, like as a trace, as a remarking, as a I don't know, like a palimpsest. I just wondered how you conceptualize the way that you remake the monuments.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, this is important for me. Like, as I said, for me it was really scary, like the idea of dying, or very difficult to, I don't know, to live with that idea that something like that will happen at some moment. It's like an uncertainty at the same time, a very big certainty. And I started to do these projects to leave them in the place in which I installed them. And for me, it was and it started to be a way of liberate something. Like I feel and I understand now, after all these projects, it was difficult for me to understand that we are as these projects, or myself, I am as my work somehow, like very fragile and destructible somehow. And I decided to leave them, all of them. Like the first ones, I left them in that place. For instance, the restoration one, I decided to leave it after this event that happened at the museum, and someone started to kick it, I don't know, with a piece of rock or something. It was like completely destroyed at the end. For me, they are kind of a weird present. Like I really wanted to do something to solve the problem of the restoration of the building, so I left them. And after that, I do videos. Everything is recorded. I present for exhibitions or things like that. I present the videos, the register of this. Also the designs, I didn't show this right now because that would have taken like much longer. But I keep all the designs that I do, the drawings, small models. Sometimes I keep like a small piece of the projects I install in places, to have like archaeological piece or something like that, to remember the shape and form or so. But the first objects that I constructed, they stayed in place.
I got a question here in the back. Thanks so much for that presentation. That was really awesome. And I think that one of the ways your work most excites me is when it's unpredictable how the audience is going to interact with it, like in Folkstone. And you're saying like you don't ask permission for a lot of the ways that your work interacts with public space. And I'm wondering if you have any good anecdotes about how institutions have not reacted well to it, or how audience has not reacted well to it. Any attacks of the work, or like interactions that you wouldn't have predicted?
Yeah, for instance, in that case, each of us learned something from the situation. yeah, actually, a lot of things happened at that moment when people decided to destroy my work after my invitation. People decided also to interact with the other works of the event, and that was terrible because they were all, some of them covered with graffitis or so, and they blamed me a little bit because people felt like free of doing what they wanted, and for me that's kind of fine. Like, I feel happy about that because I made them, like, I don't know, I liberated them somehow. Yeah, but at the same time, it was interesting because they were expecting something different from the public. They, yeah, as I said, like, they thought they were like super like careful about the sculptures of public spaces, and they also said that they also said that maybe this invitation could work in Chile because people is more crazy there and disrespectful and, yeah, more I don't know, vandals. And but here, no, that's not going to happen. But come on, it's the UK. I mean, the punk, the hooligans, the, yeah, a lot. Vikings. Yeah, I don't know. So I told them, like, yeah, let's see what is happening and what will happen. And I think that's interesting with all of my works, and that's also difficult, not only with works for public spaces, because all of my works have like an open ending. Like, I go to places to find something. I not only want to represent something, but I also want to discover something. So it's difficult, the conversation sometimes, like with curators, when I'm not sure how the work is going to end up. I know more or less when they are going to end up, and that's good, like for the deadlines or so, but it can be like any shape or form. And I have like a vague idea, but yeah, some part of the project is always open. And for me, it makes a lot of sense, like life. Like, we are going to a visit to the beach, and we just know that. What is happening after, like, we don't know. Yeah, so it's like the same, I don't know, logic somehow. Comments, questions? Yes.
Hi. I really, really love your work, by the way. I think that your work is an inspiration because you're not, I think that you're very outside of the limited box of this world. But I did have a question as far as normally when you do displays of your art through invitation, are there other times where you do it out of your own motives where you don't do it with an invitation that you still continue to do? I know you do like collaborations, but are there any future projects that you're doing just based off of yourself and not an invitation?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, I have had the weird coincidence, or I don't know, luck. I don't know. I don't know if luck. It's a good coincidence that I always work after an invitation. It has been like that. I haven't had much of opportunity to do things like just because by myself, because I have time. I'm going to do this because I had this idea. It has been like that. It has been like that. I don't know, this year, like after COVID, the invitations stopped a little bit. So now I'm going to have the experience of working on things by myself, or the works that ended up in a weird moment because of COVID, like the one that I was doing in Coyhaique. That was in in the south of Chile. I was there for a residency that was finished like I don't know, after 2 weeks I was there because of COVID, and I said like, yeah, but I'm going to stay here working, and then I'm going to put something in storage, and then I can go back there to finish the project. And then that didn't happen. Like, I finished some of the pieces, and then I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't get out of Coyhaique because there wasn't any airplanes or no place to go, actually, because I was living in Argentina and I couldn't go back. So it was kind of crazy. Yeah, but then that was also an opportunity to do things with some more time. That was good. The work and being something completely different as the original plan, but this was like crazy different. Yeah, because I went there for a month and then I stayed for 7 months. So that was, yeah, really different. And yeah, no, but in general, what I do when I'm not working for a project is write a lot, make some drawings. I draw a lot too. And now I'm going to work on that very project that I have to edit. I also edit my own works. So yeah, I'm always doing something. I'm also learning how to tattooing. my drawings, like the drawings that I never knew what to do with them. Yeah, now they are moving around like in people. So that's good. They are public somehow now too. So yeah, I'm always doing something. It's difficult for me not to do some, I don't know, life is really short. I'm always thinking on that, like, yeah, about death and everything, and that can happen like leaving this museum. So yeah, I need to do things fast. Yeah. It's very, it's very terrible sometimes to think like this, but yeah, at the same time, it's a motive to do things very, very quick and now. Yeah, it's good and bad.
Hi, your grave near where you lived, is there an update of that space now, or has it stayed constant since then? Because it seems like something you've revisited, so I didn't know if you were going to revisit it maybe later.
Which place? Sorry?
The house that was torn down for the metro, and then. So are you going to revisit that again, or do you keep tabs on what's happening there?
Yeah, I left Santiago to live in Buenos Aires, and then I have been moving after I lost my house in Buenos Aires. So I didn't have the chance to revisit that place. But yeah, sometimes people is giving me information about it. Now I know a shopping mall is going to be constructed there. Again, like in Ukraine with the Friendship of People's Fountain, when people doesn't know what to do with a place, they decide to construct a shopping mall. It's kind of similar as here. Like Chile has United States as a big reference. So yeah, Los Angeles is kind of similar of Santiago in many ways. So yeah, they are constructing a shopping mall in that place, and that's, for me, it's heartbreaking. That place is really heartbreaking. Like, I have something with that place. I lived in the same street in different places by coincidence, like by chance, very near that area of the cemetery. So I feel like I'm bond with that place somehow. So yeah, after the construction of the shopping mall, I think there's going to be like a third part or something of the project for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.